Alright guys, so I thought I could keep my mouth shut about this, but the combined effect of disappointment and anger have proven way too toxic to keep in. As some of you may know, I'm a bit of a Resident Evil fan. I've been enamored with the series since seeing screenshots in a magazine and wondering to myself how the hell one would go about controlling such an odd looking game. Now if we're being honest, the Resident Evil series is easily 100% responsible for shaping my idea of horror in games. And it played a huge role in my obsession with ambience and immersion. There was just something about exploring that mansion, something about that feeling of loneliness and anticipation that just spoke to me, and it would continue to do so long after my first playthrough. As each successive entry in the series came out, I found myself sinking deeper and deeper into fanboy territory, until eventually I noticed something was changing. Suddenly, I couldn't recognize my beloved series anymore. The changes were so great and happened so fast that no one had time to realize what was happening.
By the time I noticed something was wrong, the entire city was infested with zombies.
And in what seemed like one short instance, it was over. There was no more Resident Evil, at least not the games that I knew. Resident Evil no longer meant exploring a huge environment, slowly unlocking new pathways and secrets, all the while staying alive in a zombie invasion. Now this was an action series with over-the-shoulder camera angles and boulder punching scenes. And just so we're clear, I'm not condemning Resident Evil 4. I love that game. It was fun as hell, and it set the stage for what action games had to live up to from then on. But, and this is a huge, oversized but, it was not a Resident Evil game. Sure, it had familiar characters, but from the very beginning of the game, it was very clear that you are not playing an entry in the Resident Evil series. So before you obliterate the comments section, just ask yourself one question. One very simple question. Would Resident Evil 4 have been worse off if it were called something else? If you watched the trailer for it, would you assume it was another entry in the survival horror franchise? Resident Evil 4 was the result of series creator Shinji Mikami getting tired of RE games. He clearly wanted to develop a different type of game, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, from this same distaste, we got Devil May Cry. I'm all for letting this guy make action games, but if he's tired of making Resident Evil games, shouldn't he just stop? Instead of making a completely different idea with new characters and then throwing them into a series that already has its own mechanics and style, why not just end RE games? Maybe a little time away from the series will help inspire a little more love from Mikami, or better yet, maybe someone else will try to continue the legacy and bring the series back to its roots. On second thought, maybe that wouldn't be such a good idea. Clearly, modern developers want to use brand name recognition to guarantee high sales, but bestsellers like The Last of Us or Borderlands have proven that this isn't necessary. If anything, Capcom should be putting a small budget into new IPs with the hopes of one hitting all the right chords with the public and turning into its own money-making blockbuster of a series. So now, in the same breath that I told you how much I love this series, I also say it's time to let it die. Resident Evil no longer means anything, and I don't mean that in some kind of philosophical way, although that argument could certainly be made. I'm coming at this from a purely pragmatic approach. As a consumer, the Resident Evil title doesn't let me know what type of gameplay I can expect, who will be involved in the game's creation, or the level of quality of the finished product. From its inception, the RE title has meant survival horror, third-person action, first-person shooting, online multiplayer, and now, second-rate PT clones. And no, literally no amount of fanboy logic can connect RE7 with the series as a whole. Plus, let's face it, this is the most shameless attempt at cloning a game anyone's ever seen outside of Steam Greenlight. Which begs the important question, when a series name no longer gives the consumer an idea of what to expect, what good is it? Look, I'm not saying you can't like these games, and I'm definitely not insulting your taste if you get into the later games in the series. What I am saying is these games no longer have anything in common with their forefathers. There are no tangible connections other than classic characters shoehorned into a plot that has nothing to do with them. So why keep up the charade? Look, Resident Evil, we had a good run. I may not like where you ended up, but I still consider the majority of your titles as really good games in their own right. Let's not tarnish your reputation any more than it already has been. Let's end on a good note. And to you remaining RE fans, it's okay to let go. The series ending doesn't mean the end of your love for it. There are a good number of great survival horror games in this series, and we will always be able to go back and relive those amazing memories. Whether it's classics through the PlayStation Network, the plethora of remakes or reimaginings, or even the originals in our own game collections, this series will live on in our hearts and in our disc trays. Even though this is easily one of my all-time favorite gaming dynasties, and even though these games are responsible for shaping my very outlook on the medium, I can honestly say, Capcom, this is one corpse even the T-Virus can't reanimate. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out for another Talking Points video. This one's been a huge issue with me for a while, so it's good to finally get it out there. And if you like the more classic RE experience, maybe check out some of my videos on the subject right here. And if opinionated rants on unimportant subjects gets your juices going, maybe click that subscribe button. And do something about having juices, that's not healthy.